Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our homeschool to college discussions. I am Leslie Nunnery with Teach Them Diligently, and I will once again be talking to Phylicia Masonheimer, who is with Liberty University, and we're going to be discussing some of the different topics that are on everyone's mind as we look at making that transition from homeschool to college. Today, specifically, we are going to discuss dual credits. We're going to talk a little bit about transferring credits. And then if we have the chance, we're going to get into CLEP testing and what that means for your student as well. If you missed our first discussion, definitely plan to pull it up. We talked about early preparation and when you should start, how to prepare yourself, and so much more. So take the time to watch that video as well. There'll be a link available for you after this video goes live. But for now, welcome Phylicia Masonheimer from Liberty University. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me, Leslie.
Well, great. Let's jump right in. Our time is a little bit limited today. So the question that I want to ask you as we start this discussion of how our students can really get ahead in college is, what exactly is dual credit? I've heard a lot of people talking about it, but I want to make sure that I understand it and that all the other high school moms out there understand it as well.
Yes. Well, dual credit has a couple of names. Some people in certain states call it dual enrollment. Others call it dual credit. So it has a couple different titles depending on where you live and what your community colleges might call it. Essentially, what dual credit is getting double the credit. You're getting high school credit at the same time you're getting college credit by taking just one course. So for instance, if you have a high school senior who needs a 4th credit of English to graduate high school, and you have them enroll at your community college and take English 101, they are getting dual credit for that course because they're getting 3 college credits and 1 or half a high school credit. Usually that's how it works in Virginia, at least, for taking that course. So dual credit, dual enrollment, either way, it's a fantastic way to get some of your general education credits done prior to attending on the campus of a 4-year university.
Great. So as a mom, like I said, the last time we chatted, Camden is a high school sophomore right now, and then I have ones coming up behind him. What should we look for as we are looking to start dual credits at some point? We'll talk about that in a minute as well. When should we start? But what should I look for as I'm helping to guide him through this process and looking at dual credits?
That's a good question, Leslie. First thing to think about is the abilities of your student. So what are their skills and what are their strengths? If you know that your student is struggling in math, you're not going to want to put them in a college level math course because they're going to need some more preparation before they're ready for that level of work, even at a community college. But if you feel comfortable with their skill level in a certain area, say in biology or in English, that could be a great area where they can do college level work and have a little bit more demand placed on them while also getting that college credit. So it really depends on the student, their skills, their abilities, how you as a parent see them succeeding in that classroom environment as well. Now, starting earlier with dual enrollment or dual credit, I think can be really beneficial to students because that classroom environment, if they're not in a co-op or in a homeschool group that does actual classes, it can be a great way to help the transition to a 4-year university because they're familiar to that environment as well.
Well, that was a really good point, especially about the classroom experience. I think that's one of the things that as a mom, a lot of us are a little bit concerned about as they're getting into the next level or getting ready to step into the next level of their education, is how will they function in that kind of an environment, especially those, like you said, who have not been in a co-op or a similar academic environment before. When you mentioned starting early, when actually can you start taking those classes and have them count for both? When would be a good time to look at that, or you know, when is it legal to start doing that? Are there guidelines on it? How does that exactly work?
The age to start dual enrollment will vary state to state. A lot of community colleges have what's called a compass test or an entrance exam that a student has to take to prove their proficiency before they can enroll in any of the courses because they want to make sure that the students who take their courses will succeed, just like any university. So I have known students as young as 14 to do dual enrollment because they were advanced, but you do have to check with your community college and see what they will allow, if they will let you take the entrance exam, if they'll let you enroll your student. That's going to vary depending on your state, on the community college, so you'd want to talk with them directly about that. But I have heard of students who are, graduating high school with, a full associate degree, which at Liberty we offer that online. We have a dual enrollment program online where students who are 16 or have completed their freshman and sophomore years of high school can enroll full-time in college courses online for junior and senior year and graduate with an associate degree and a high school diploma.
Wow. So is there a benefit then to taking it on site as opposed to online, or vice versa? Or do you think that it really just depends on the child and the situation and both are equally good?
It depends on the child, on the learning style. And the nice thing is you can actually combine. It's not either or. You could do a couple online courses, say through Liberty, and you could do a couple on campus with your community college. You have the option of choosing what you want to do, because some students will learn a certain subject better in person than they would in an online class, or they're so skilled in a certain area that doing it online is, no problem for them, whereas doing it in class, they don't need as much tutelage, so to speak. Plus, with our online program, the courses are in 8-week terms, whereas a community college course would be 16 weeks. Okay. So online would be a little bit faster with us, at least, and the student would be, they'd be able to finish the courses faster. So it's another way that they can kind of combine on campus or online, or they can choose to go completely one or the other.
Gotcha. Well, real quick before I've got 2 more questions really about the dual credit. Number one, I saw where someone had asked the question, what is the difference between an AP course and a dual credit course? And is there, from an admission standpoint, would one make the admissions counselor believe that the child is more prepared for college than the other? Is there really any difference from an admission standpoint?
That will depend on the college you're looking at. For instance, some Ivy League schools really like the AP or advanced placement credit because they're essentially honors level courses, whereas those same colleges might not be as transfer friendly and therefore might not want to accept as many community college credits. This would be the case of University of Virginia, Virginia Tech. I've talked with some of their directors and admissions counselors. They love advanced placement. However, with community college credit, they're just not going to take as many transfer credits because they want the student to spend more time on their campus and learn from their perspective. Of course, every college would love to have students on their campus as long as possible. They would love to, be able to have them all 4 years. A lot of homeschool students are coming in with some kind of credit that saves them time and money. So you want to be sure to check the college and make sure that you know how many transfer credits they accept. But the biggest difference between advanced placement and dual credit is that advanced placement is essentially an honors level course. It's designed and owned by College Board, who also owns SAT, CLEP, and PSAT. And it's typically taught through a school. Now, some homeschool groups and co-ops have the rights to actually teach those courses. And there are, I believe, some exams, if not all of them, you can sit for the AP exam without taking the course. That's a little risky, a little tough. Even with taking the course, only 25% of students actually pass the exam at the end.
Wow.
And the exam is the only way that you get credit, college credit. Otherwise, it's just a harder high school course. Now, with dual credit, if you pass that class, you're guaranteed that you have college credit. So the biggest difference between an AP course and a dual credit course is that one has a higher success rate of getting the college credit.
Right.
So that's just what you have to weigh out. An AP course can still be a great choice for more demanding level work, but if you're not sure, if you really want to have that college credit, it might be better to go with the community college if the four-year university you're looking at is transfer friendly.
Well, there we go. It wouldn't switch back. Sorry. Well, on that point, how do you determine, what process do you go about to investigate how transfer friendly any college is? And also, well, I guess that kind of encapsulates all of it. Is that kind of a standard thing, or is that going to be very exclusive to each individual university? They'll have their own policies and their own preferences as far as transfer credit.
That's a really good question, and it is the latter. Every college will have their own policy on transfer credit. So, for instance, Liberty accepts up to 60 transfer credits. That's extremely generous. Now, some of those credits may come in as electives, and you'd still have a Bible core of classes that you take on our campus. But other colleges, for instance, Regent, another Christian college in Virginia, only accepts 30 transfer credits. And then if you're going to go talk to University of Virginia or one of these, sort of Ivy League schools, you're going to be looking at even less credit transferring into their programs. For instance, Hillsdale, which doesn't accept federal aid, very fantastic conservative school in Michigan, they accept very little transfer credit. So, you want to be talking to these schools, checking their website, seeing what their limits are as far as transfer credit goes, because it's not an automatic, or it's not a given that just because you got an associate degree or you got 30 credits at your community college, that means you only have 3 years left at your destination school. So you want to be in communication with them about that. You also have to take into consideration the program that you want to go into. Nursing programs, engineering programs, almost always are 4-year programs. So you can't get rid of as many of those credits beforehand. You've got to take prerequisites on campus to get into those programs and then graduate from them. So you just want to be asking those questions as you look at your top 3 to 5 colleges and find out exactly what they are looking for and what they allow in the manner of transfer credit.
Gotcha. Well, are all dual credits the same? So if I were to take a dual credit at school A, is that generally going to be the same as if I took a credit at school B in the eyes of a college or an admissions counselor?
So you're asking if all of the dual credit courses, so at Community College 1 or Community College 2, are going to be equivalent?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Yes and no. I mean, when you're looking at an in-state school, for instance, if a student comes from Central Virginia Community College to Liberty, we have an agreement with CVCC that the credits taken there will transfer into Liberty because it's a Virginia community college. We're a Virginia private university. So we have an agreement with all of the Virginia community colleges. It's called a guaranteed admission agreement, which is kind of confusing terminology because it doesn't mean you're guaranteed admission. It just means your credits will transfer. Someone needs to work on their terminology when they name these things. But with out-of-state community colleges, you have to be a little bit more careful. For instance, I came from a Michigan community college when I transferred to Liberty, and I did lose a few credits because I was from an out-of-state community college that didn't have an agreement with Liberty. I could have gone to an in-state school that had one, but I decided to go out of state. So you just want to communicate with the registrar's department of the college to find out if what you're taking will transfer if you're looking out of state. And even if you're looking in-state, if you take mythology and kayaking, those probably aren't going to transfer into your degree program. So you want to be strategic in what you're choosing. Your math, biology, English, history, social studies, things like that are what are the safe classes typically that will transfer into a degree program at most state and private colleges.
Okay, so how important would you say it is when a teenager starts taking dual credit classes to have a decent idea of what they want to do? I know when I was in school anyway, a lot of people changed their majors even while they were in school. So the thought of knowing as a sophomore in high school what I'm going to major in and do for the rest of my life seems, it seems a little far-fetched, but that may just show that I'm old. So, which I am. But yeah. So I guess that the question is, should they really be looking more at these core subjects that's going to go into any degree program? Or is it important that they know really what they want to do and look at courses that they're confident would fit into that kind of a program?
Well, it could go either way. Students who know what they want to do have a little bit of an advantage because they can communicate to the schools they're looking at, find out what classes are required for that major, and narrow down what classes would transfer into that specific major, and be in communication on, say, a biology degree. They can say, you know, should I take anatomy and physiology at my community college? Will you accept it, or is it a prereq to your program? They can ask those kinds of specific questions, where a student who doesn't know what they want to do won't be that specific.
Gotcha.
Now, the good thing is, though, even if a student is very unsure about what he or she wants to study, they can still stick with those general courses and typically get as much as a year done before they actually attend on campus, because 15 credits is your standard semester. That's 5 classes. You could do your history of United States, biology 101, English 101, college algebra, college math, and then, you know, find another, you know, 5th class to take. That's a whole semester right there.
Wow.
To have finished. And those are all very general credits. So as long as you're in communication with the university that you're looking at, you can usually figure out a class that will, you know, classes that will transfer directly into those programs, even if you don't know what you want to do.
Sounds great. Well, we are going to have to call it a day today, but when we get back together the next time, let's talk about CLEP testing, because I know as a mom, I have a lot of questions about that, and so I'm sure that many others do as well. But then I also want to ask you about scholarships and how to finance college and different strategies and such like that. So do you have time to come back and talk to us again soon about some of those things?
Definitely.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Phylicia, for joining us. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We will talk to you next time as we discuss Homeschool to College with Phylicia Masonheimer of Liberty University. Thanks. Bye-bye.